Alanjo, anong oras na? Wala pa rin si Stanley, hindi sumasagot. Hello? Sorry, medyo galit. Hello? Hello, Senpai. Asan ka na ba? Di ba may shoot tayo ngayon? Kumparo? Andito na ako. Dito na ako eh. O sige, dyan ka na lang kung di ka makakarating. Sige, bye-bye. Sige, wait lang. Hey, Roy? Roy?
Oy! Anong ginagawa niyo dito?
Do you come here often?
Nag-jogging ako dito eh. Talagang gusto ko kasing malaki mga tiyan natin. Talagang kailangan natin mag-exercise.
Pero alam mo, may problema ako eh.
Bakit?
Pwede bang wag ka muna mag-jogging? Tapos tulungan mo ako comparo review kasi alam mo naman si Stanley.
Ganda naman ito. Sino mo bumili nito?
Ay, oo. Maganda talaga yan. Siyempre, fresh.
Fresh na fresh. Ay, mukhang freshness eh.
Pwede ko istorboy ng pagja-jogging mo.
Sige.
Review tayo? Okay lang?
Oo, sige.
Sigurado ka?
Sakto, may dala akong microphone dito.
Sakto, parang kinabit ko na eh.
The universe aligned. Yun, thank you, man. So, yan.
Let's get it on.
Alright. So, I am Martin Aguilar, the content editor of Philkotse.com/CambioBoy. At kasama natin ngayon, very special guest. Magpakilala ka.
What's going on, guys?
Roy Robles here for ZigWheels.ph, and yes, Philkotse X ZigWheels. This is going to be our first collaboration, and I'm really excited to be back here at Philkotse.com.
I'm stoked as Roy. Inglesero kasi ito eh, no? Pero bago lahat, don't forget to like and subscribe to Philkotse's YouTube channel. Click that bell icon para una-una ka sa mga bagong videos namin.
After you subscribe to Philkotse.com, make sure that you head on over to ZigWheels.ph and like and subscribe, hit that notification icon. But we're going to talk about that later because we have two amazing small mini hatchbacks right here that we are going to pit against each other.
Dito sa kabilang side, we have the Honda Brio RS. At dito naman sa kabila, we have the Suzuki Celerio AGS. So, what's up, my boy Roy? Let's start this comparative review, huh?
That's right.
All right, let's go. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Kotse ba?
Philkotse na.
So you've seen me review this before at ZigWheels.ph, but I'm sure that you know exactly what I mean about this youthful vibe yung pinagusto ko dito sa Celerio. But my favorite part about it are those circular headlamps and fog lamps and this plastic strip at the bottom na para siyang smile. It's like you're smiling at all the guys on the road, but it's not gonna give you that same effect if you're seeing it from behind. It's like saying after you overtake this, nakita mo, hi, you're faster than me. And that's what I love about the Celerio.
Medyo dinugu ako eh.
Ay, so sorry.
So, yes, I'm Martin Aguilar, the Cambio Boy next door, content editor of Philkotse.com. And, let me be myself. So ito, dito tayo sa harap ng Honda Brio RS. Kung mapapansin nyo, it has a different appeal compared dun sa other Brio variants. Bakit? Kasi kitang-kita nyo naman dito sa harap, meron siyang glossy black trim, which for me adds a good style point. And then, yun yung nagpapa-distinct sa kanya compared sa other Brio variants kasi mga naka-chrome trim yung ibang variant nito. Which for me, masyadong loud yung pagka-chrome, tsaka para siyang sumisigaw pagka nakita mo sa daan. Tapos meron din tayo ditong halogen headlights, gaya nung nakakabit sa Celerio, halogen din. And then pagbaba mo dito, you have this angular looking bumper na sakto lang yung pagka-sharp niya at yung pagka-chiseled niya. Hindi siya sobra at hindi naman siya kulang. Kumbaga, it's not that sporty, pero it's not that plain too. Tapos pagbaba mo dito, meron din siyang fog lamps, which, yun nga, gaya na sa Celerio, meron din. So, halos pantay sila ng features pagdating sa harap. Medyo pa-mysterious itong si Brio RS. So, ikaw Roy, ano ba nagustuhan mo dito sa Brio RS?
Ang pinakagusto ko about the Brio RS are those headlamps. Gaya nga ng sinabi mo, it looks more serious, it looks a little bit more subtle, and it has this more focused look to it. No pun intended. And of course, the thing that I don't like about that though is what you were saying about the piano black. For those who watch zigwheels.ph, you know how much I don't like piano black in cars, but in this case, I think it works, but I love the RS badge. It's like a little bit more limited than the usual Brio out there.
Pero sige, no, ako naman, pagdating sa Celerio, quirky siya, smiling face. Pero for me kasi yung overall look ng Celerio, parang hindi ko cup of tea, no, for the lack of better term. Kasi para siyang medyo na mash up ng kung ano-ano. Though, yeah, maganda yung refreshing look compared dun sa mga segment rivals na gaya ng Brio RS at ng ibang Toyota Wigo, di ba? Pero overall, yeah, it has a smiling face, tapos distinctive, medyo umaangat siya sa segment ngayon. But, medyo, when it comes to the front end, parang mas nagli-lean towards the Brio RS.
So buksan natin yung hood, tignan natin yung loob ng Suzuki Celerio. Alright. So pagkabukas nyo ng hood, makikita nyo dito yung 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. Makes about 66 horsepower and 89 Newton meters of torque. Remember that the Suzuki Celerio is one of the lightest vehicles out there, and it's connected to an AGS or automated gear shift system, which is Suzuki's automatic manual transmission. We'll be driving that later on and seeing how that goes. The Celerio might have a really tiny engine, but it has big car energy, and I like it.
Okay, dito, tingnan natin yung engine ng Honda Brio. Okay, yan. The Honda Brio RS is powered by a 1.2-liter 4-cylinder VTEC engine that makes 89 horsepower and 110 Newton meters of torque. Tapos 4 cylinders din siya. Sabi ni Roy kanina, yung Suzuki Celerio naka 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. In that sense, masasabi natin na yung 1.2-liter na nakabit dito kay Honda Brio is one of the largest in its class, diba? Kumbaga, if I'm not mistaken, siya yung pinakamalaki, diba, na engine displacement. And then, in terms of transmission naman, nakakonect yung kanyang engine to a CVT, Continuously Variable Transmission. In that sense, no, para siyang nabibigay noon, mamaya, more on that later, is a smooth drive. No? Compared dun sa AGS ni Suzuki Celerio na automatic gear shift na parang auto manual yun, di ba? Ito kay Honda Brio, CVT siya. No?
Alright, so let's talk about the side profile of the Suzuki Celerio. For starters, the Suzuki Celerio is different from all other small cars because it embraces its smallness. I mean, hindi katulad ng ibang mga small cars out there or mini hatchbacks that tries to be sporty, tries to be elegant. The Suzuki is unapologetically small. Tignan nyo naman tong gilid na to. It's all boxy. A boxy design is, of course, Suzuki's hallmark when it comes to its small cars because it's trying to maximize all the space. Katulad ng Espresso, katulad ng Jimny, it's really boxy. Now, the only thing that I have some gripes over when it comes to Suzuki's design in the side profile is those door handles. While the door handles on Brio shows you those grab type door handles, the pull type ones seem to be a little more 90s for my taste. But it follows up with those 15-inch alloy wheels. Now the Brio also gets 15-inch alloy wheels, but you only get that on the top of the line RS model, while on the Celerio, you get that as standard. Plus, they're also blacked out, which adds a little bit more sportiness. Sinabi ko, hindi naman siya nagpretend na maging sporty, pero it helps to add a little bit more pizzazz and flair. Kung hindi lang dahil sa door handles na yun, panalo na sa akin to eh.
Dito naman tayo sa side profile ng Honda Brio RS. Kung mapapansin nyo, meron siyang distinct character lines which add texture pag tinignan mo yung Brio from the side. And then what I like dito sa Honda Brio RS is yung kanyang addition ng side skirts. Again, hindi siya ganun ka-sporty, di ba? Pero nakakapag-add siya ng flair, nakapag-add siya ng flavor pag tinignan mo yung Honda Brio RS on the side compared sa non-RS Brios. Tapos pagdating sa gulong, meron din siyang 15-inch alloy wheels. Kaso nga lang, naka two-tone siya compared dun sa Celerio na naka all black. So for me, mas gusto ko yung dating ng two-tone na alloy wheels kaysa dun sa all black. Bakit? Kasi minsan parang nagiging madumi yung sasakyan kapag ka all black yung wheels mo. As compared naman dito sa naka two-tone, medyo nabibigyan siya ng added, flair, added pitik dun sa kanyang side profile. And then, pagka tinignan mo sa side pa, sa medyo rear end ng side, sumisilip na yung spoiler ni Brio RS, which again, for me, adds that sort of aesthetic appeal dun sa kabuuan ni Brio RS. Tapos mapapansin nyo rin, mas mataas yung ground clearance ni Suzuki Celerio. Kasi if I'm not mistaken, 170mm yung ground clearance niya. Compared dito kay Brio na 135mm lang yung kanyang ground clearance. So kung particular ka dun sa mga pangilalim, mas medyo angat, literal na angat, si Celerio. Pagdating sa dimensions, the Brio RS measures 3,815mm long, 1,680mm wide, at 1,485mm tall. May wheelbase ito na 2,405mm at ground clearance na 137mm. Halos kasize na niya yung first generation Honda Jazz pagdating sa dimensions na ito.
Dito naman sa Celerio, it measures 3,695mm long, 1,655mm wide, 1,555mm tall at may wheelbase na 2,435mm at may mataas na ground clearance at 170mm. Alright, so now we're at the rear end of both the Suzuki Celerio at saka yung Honda Brio right there. Let's start with the Celerio. Now, I did mention in one of my old videos in zigwheels.ph that if you notice the tail lamps right here, it has that really nice baby shark kind of design that a lot of people doesn't seem to see, but until you get to find that right there, you won't be able to unsee it. It's right there. But about those tail lamp clusters, they look kind of poddish, they look square and at the same time circular design that, to be honest, I kind of I don't have a good opinion about it, but I guess it completes the overall look of the rear, and you got more of the grab type handles right there as if it was taken from the side panels here. I'm just glad that the Suzuki Celerio has a rear wiper, because as you know, the Suzuki Espresso did not have that, and you can't have a hatchback if you don't have the rear wiper, because alam niyo ba gaano kadaling madumihan to, especially during the rain. You definitely need this one, especially if you want to look or see the road better and more clearly. So I'm just glad that you got the plate number mounted at the correct position right there at the bottom instead of having it here in the middle. Now, you've got these reflectors right here. Kung iniisip mo umiilaw yan sa gabi, hindi. Those are just reflectors, but you do have these rear parking sensors, although you don't get any rear cameras in this one. This thing does have extra safety features, just not that rear camera. You can have that installed later on, but for the price of this thing right here, sana na nagkaroon siya ng rear camera. But the thing about the Suzuki Celerio is that basic is the name of the game. You don't want the rear end to be as garish enough as to take over the overall design, and it really fits the overall theme.
O, dito naman tayo sa likod ng Honda Brio RS. No, kung mapapansin nyo, it has this LED taillights na medyo pagka C-shape siya, no, which adds that, parang simpleng datingan lang. Again, kung sabi ni Roy kanina, basic is the name of the game. Dito naman sa Brio RS, simplicity is the name of the game. So dahil nga ito ay RS variant, meron tayong lip spoiler or rear spoiler dito integrated with the third brake light. Tapos pagbabaan mo dito sa bumper, again, it has that simple looking na may saktong pagka-chisel type, no? And then, meron siyang rear sensors. And yun, no, gaya nung sa Celerio, wala din tong rear camera. No? Pero okay na rin naman kasi meron ka namang rear sensors at hindi naman ganun kalaki yung kotse para mag-backup camera ka pa. And then pagbaba, meron din siyang garnish dito na itim, no? Parang body cladding na medyo may honeycombish na pattern, which adds dun sa kanyang pagka-RS. Sa RS lang itong garnish na to. Kaya yun yung nagpapa-standout sa kanya compared sa other Brio variants. And then, what I like dito sa Honda Brio RS is tago yung kanyang trunk release button. Unlike dun sa Celerio na parang, sabi nga ni Roy, kinuha sa gilid yung handle, no? Ito, nakatago dito. So, kakapain mo lang, then mapipindot mo yan. Medyo napindot ko na nga. Ayun, so Roy, sa dami ng pinagkwentuhan natin about the exterior, magbotohan tayo. Pero wait lang, baka nagtataka ka, ano itong box na to? Well, sa Philkotse kasi, pag nagko-comparo kami, nagbobotohan kami. At ito yung magic box namin. And then we have a set of magic cards. Magic cards, parang ano yun. So, explain muna natin, ano ba yan? Pagka puti, Celerio ang boto mo sa exterior. Kapag ka pula, Brio RS ang boto mo.
Okay.
Yan, simplihan lang. So, with that, anong mas gusto mo sa pagdating sa exterior?
Oh, magandang gimmick to ha. Pero anyway, yes. Well, alam nyo naman, para sa akin, my default choice will always be a Honda. Kasi Honda fans ako. Pero we're comparing these two vehicles. And in my book, new is always better. And well, this is an old generation na, pero it's still good. It's still nice. It's just that this thing has the advantage when it comes to design in my book. I most especially love its ride height. So my vote will go to the Celerio.
Hey. Ako naman, Roy, no, medyo iba yung tingin ko eh. Kasi mas gusto ko yung overall design ni Honda Brio RS. Kasi, yun nga, simple siya, pero may dating. And then sabi mo nga, mas bagong generation na si Celerio and medyo matagal na si Brio sa market, di ba? Pero kasi para sa akin, nag-work siya eh. And marami nakakita nung appeal na yun eh. Kumbaga, ito, English tayo. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, di ba?
Pagpapash ka na naman nila yan.
Oo, pero
English na lang, magtagalog na lang
Tatagalog.
tayo.
Nag-i-English kasi itong taga-Sigwils na to eh. Pero yun nga no, overall, the design of the Honda Brio RS for me, maganda pa din. Tapos yung gusto ko pa sa kanya, it hits low on the ground. So parang medyo, yes, may dating na konting sportiness kasi nga, Honda siguro, ganyan. Pero gaya nga nasabi ni Roy, marami rin naman nabibigay sa yung positives si Suzuki Celerio. And yun yung quirky design niya and all of that, di ba? So for me, boto ko, Honda Brio RS. Ay, hindi. Ito, Honda Brio RS. Yan.
Alright,
Dami.
good job.
Oo.
Oh, yan, nawala yung box. Magic, dapat okay ito sa Philkotse. Alright, so let's start with the reason why you're getting hatchback in the first place. It's practical and affordable at the same time. It's the easiest way for you to grab 2 weeks worth of groceries, especially with these mini hatchbacks. So open up the space. Alright, so inside you get a lot of space, especially with the Suzuki Celerio. The thing is though, you got a really narrow opening, which because of the ride height, also has a really high loading floor. But once you do get over this, you have access to all this space inside, which you have a really flat floor right here. And if you need even more space, you can actually fold these seats down. It folds in a 60-40 split configuration. 60-40, which means you got 60% of the seats right here and 40% right there. So it has more versatility. Kumbaga, kung gusto niyo maglagay ng bike sa loob, I don't think you can put a bike, maybe a BMX bike inside, but still carry a little bit more cargo space and bring a passenger as well. You could do so right here. One thing that the Suzuki Celerio has over the Brio is a tonneau cover. Well, these days, I'm not going to comment about how crime is, but at least you have a little bit more privacy with your stuff inside. So you got a tonneau cover right here with these straps to make it easy to cover whatever you need to hide from the world. So, yeah. Para hindi ka ma-cancel. So we got that right there.
Okay, tingnan naman natin yung cargo space ng Honda Brio RS. Oh, yun. Makikita nyo, it still has a lot of space considering na hatchback siya. And then tama yung sabi ni Roy, kung kailangan mo ng 2 weeks worth of groceries, walang problema pagka itong Brio ang gamit mo. And then what I like about the Brio's cargo space is mababa yung kanyang loading height compared dun sa Celerio. Mas madali mo siyang maipapasok doon sa loob kung medyo konting bending lang yung gagawin mo compared pagka naka-Celerio ka. Itong Honda Brio RS, mas maluwag yung kanyang opening when it comes to cargo space. So yun nga no, bukod sa mas mababa, mas madali mo rin siya mapapasok. Diba? Yun yung advantage for me na mabibigay sa'yo ni Honda Brio RS. Although, wala tong tonneau cover gaya nung nandun kay Celerio, which hindi mo matatago yung kung ano yung mga binili mong kontrabando or kung ano yung gusto mo itago na private parts from others people eyes. English. Tapos yun nga, eto nga no, isa pa, yung Suzuki Celerio merong 60-40 split yung upuan pagka tinupi mo. Itong Brio RS, yes, natutupi mo din yung kanyang rear seats. However, single lang. Kumbaga isang bagsak lang lahat. So, kung kailangan mo mag-load ng mahabang items, di ka na pwedeng magpasakay ng pasahero dito sa likod. It's the same. Marami siyang, both hatchbacks can accommodate a lot of items. However, nagkakatalo sa loading height, tsaka dun sa opening, and then dun sa pag-fold ng rear seats. Dami sinabi. Sara na natin to, Roy.
Alright, so right now we're inside the Suzuki Celerio. The thing about the Suzuki Celerio is that, well, of course it is an entry-level budget mini hatchback, so you've got hard plastics everywhere. Meron ka din ditong 6.2-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which is Sony branded, by the way. But the thing about this touchscreen is that it does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, unfortunately. But it does have some sort of screen or smartphone mirroring system. But for the life of me, I'm unable to do that. I think it has something to do with my phone. But yeah, you have what it is. It's pretty responsive, but unfortunately it's pretty dark as well. I would have wanted it to be a little brighter and have a little bit more color. Now the most interesting thing about the Suzuki Celerio is that you've got your power windows, but it's mounted right here on the dashboard. You know Suzuki. Suzuki is, like I said, it's the king of small cars, and they maximize every bit, every inch of space inside to make sure that you are comfortable. So instead of putting those power windows right here in the door that just jabs against your love handles, they put it right there. You can see the same on the Suzuki Jimny and the Suzuki Espresso, and right now it's in the Suzuki Celerio as well. Personally, I love how that looks. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. You don't get any center armrests. Now, I know this is a budget car, it's a entry-level mini hatchback, but I sure do love, I wish they could give us that here as well. Even if we have this mounted right here to the side of the seats, at least it give you some comfort while you're driving. But at least you got more space, so that's that. Everything is nicely sculpted. You got some texture pattern right here. It looks like a golf ball pattern on top. Plus the gauges. The gauges are simple. Driving information screen there. It gives you all the information you need, your trip meter, your fuel consumption ratio, everything you need. It's easy, it's legible, plus the orange or the amber lighting adds a little bit more sportiness. One more thing that I love about the Suzuki Celerio here is that the switches right here behind the steering wheel, finally we see them all full up. You got your automatic start-stop, your stability control, your parking sensors. It's amazing, and I love it.
Yun, Roy, ano yung sinasabi mo kanina about dyan sa pinto-pinto?
As you can see, yung pagpasok natin dito sa loob ng Suzuki Celerio is very seamless, very easy, and effortless because these doors open up to an almost 90-degree angle. Check this out. These doors open up to an almost 90-degree angle, making ingress and egress very easy. Ingress and egress means pagpasok tsaka paglabas ng sasakyan. Alright, good for Suzuki. That's a Suzuki signature right there. You can find it in most of their cars, but especially here in the Suzuki Celerio. Now, the doors are actually wide enough as well for even for me with my own large frame. I can get in without any problem. So that's what I love about this car. Now, given that you don't have any toys to play with dito sa likod, walang mga gadgets, walang mga abubot. In lieu of those things, you do get space. Space is what's important, especially for small cars. The Suzuki Celerio has a lot of headroom, got a lot of leg room right here, knee room, even though I'm sitting behind my own optimal driving position. Ito na yung pinakasagad para sa akin, na at least okay, pinaka-okay para sa akin. Pero kahit na ganun, kasya pa rin ako sa likod. Kahit 5'10" and a half ako, kasya pa rin ako. Now, here are a few of the quirks that I found about this car is that yung center passenger niya, parang suggestion lang. Kasi dalawa lang yung headrest dito. Although you do get a center seat belt. You get that right there. Pero you have to adjust yourself kasi wala ngang headrest para sa center passenger. And ito pa, yung power windows niya, wala dito sa usual na mahanap mo. Just like in the front, you do have it right here in the center console, right there at the bottom next to the handbrake. But like I said, Suzuki really prioritizes space. Look at this. You don't feel claustrophobic inside. It's so wide because of the lighter color headliner. You got that going for you. Plus these windows open up. They actually open up to almost at the bottom. While most cars actually have it right there, almost halfway, they have it almost right there at the bottom. Another thing is that the the tonneau cover actually works as a shelf. So if you gotta put some stuff there, you put your stuffed toys. A lot of people like buying these cars and putting their stuffed toys right there for some reason and blocks your rear view mirror. But you can do that. You can do that in the Suzuki Celerio. So yeah, overall, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yes, you like it a lot.
That's right. The Suzuki Celerio has tilt-adjustable steering wheel, split folding back seats, 4 speakers, front airbags, ISOFIX tethers, ABS, brake assist, engine start-stop system, electric stability control, hill hold control, immobilizer, and rear parking sensors.
Okay, so we're now inside the Honda Brio RS, and as you can see, it has a all-black theme. Ay, sorry na ano lang. Pinapangarap ko maging salita ni Roy. So ito, dito tayo sa loob ng Honda Brio RS. Yan, more on Martin. Dito tayo sa loob ng Honda Brio RS. Kung papansin nyo, meron siyang black theme, no? Pati yung headliner niya itim. And exclusive yon sa RS trims ng Brio, ah. Tapos pag tinignan mo dito sa steering wheel mo, you have a urethane steering wheel. Integrated din siya with audio controls. Parehas nung sa Celerio, meron din siyang integrated buttons dun sa steering wheel. Tapos pag dito tingin mo sa harap, makikita mo yung cluster mo, it's the usual na may tachometer, speedometer, tapos yung sa speedometer within doon, may digital trip computer. And then nakahiwalay yung fuel gauge mo. Then pagdating mo dito sa gitna, meron siyang 7-inch touchscreen na mas malaki ng slight compared dun sa 6.2 na nakakabit doon sa Suzuki Celerio. Pero what's interesting is that parehas sila ng graphics. No? Parang sa Celerio black and white eh. Dito black and white din. White yung icons tapos itim yung background. Tapos responsive din naman siya to every touch. And note ko lang din, no, bago ko makalimutan, wala rin tong Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Pero meron din tong Bluetooth, which is same setup na makukuha mo pagka Celerio yung binili mo. Since this is an RS Brio, since this is Brio RS, bahala na. Meron din siyang mga orange accents dito sa dashboard, pati sa upuan at dito sa doors, dito sa armrest kumbaga. Pagdating mo dito sa gear shifter, meron siyang leatherish material dito sa taas. So para mas maganda sa grip. Tapos, papansin nyo rin, meron yung usual na makikita mo sa mga Honda cars is yung isang flow ng gear lever, ng gear shifter. Hindi siya yung gated type na gaya nung nakakabit sa Suzuki Celerio. Well, sa Suzuki Celerio naman, it explains a lot kung bakit siya gated eh, kasi naka-AGS nga siya eh. And gaya nung sa Celerio, wala rin siyang armrest dito na hinahanap ni Mr. Sigwills Roy Robles. Wala rin siya ditong armrest, tsaka yung dito, wala din. Well, for me, it's okay na wala kasi considering the price point of these two vehicles, di ba? Parang medyo expected mo na yun. Pero yes, syempre, it's nice to have pagka pwede. Kaso nga lang, medyo magsasacrifice yung space. And then, isa pa Roy, napansin ko, no, ito yung nagustuhan ko sa Brio RS eh. Andun sa mga usual na placements yung mga buttons. Unlike dun sa Celerio na nandito yung controls for the windows, tsaka dun sa lock, nandito rin, hazard, nandito rin. Medyo nakakapanibago siya sa una, lalo na pag unang-una ka nakaupo sa Celerio. Kasi usually, pag sinabi mong buksan yung bintana, force of habit mo na yun eh, na medyo magte-turn kang ganun para pindutin yung power windows, tsaka yung power locks and all. Sa Celerio nga lang, nandito sa gitna. Pero konting ano lang, masasanay ka rin. And then, pagdating naman sa climate controls, meron siyang buttons lang. Unlike din sa Celerio na tactile yung iniikot. Oh, dials yan. No? Hindi siya ganun. Pipindot lang. Which for me, okay lang. Pero for me kasi iba yung nagagawa ng dials eh. Kung mapapansin nyo yung sa mga bagong interiors ng Honda, like yung sa Honda City, for example, naka-dials siya. Maganda yung dial siya. Pero then again, mas mahal yung sasakyan na yun. So, pag ito, set mo lang yung expectations mo and you have to take note na medyo matagal na sa market yung current generation ng Honda Brio na to, which explains kung ba't ganyan siya. Pero overall for me, it's not that outdated yet. Kumbaga pumapalag pa siya sa mga current segment rivals niya ngayon. Pa sa mga nagustuhan ko dito is meron siyang storage compartment dito sa harap ng driver sa left side, sa baba ng AC vents, na pwede mo paglagyan ng mga RFID cards. Kasi alam niyo naman mga tol dito sa Pilipinas, minsan hindi nababasa, so madali mong mahahablot yung card mo, pa-flash mo kay teller. Ha, here's my card. May balance yan. Kung mapapansin nyo rin, no, yung interior ng Honda Brio RS is filled with hard plastics, which is similar din sa Celerio. Kasi marami ring hard plastic yon, which is expected yun eh, considering the price point nung dalawang sasakyan na ito. Pero, the Honda Brio RS comes with 6 speakers as compared sa Celerio na merong 4 lang. Which for me, lalo na kung audiophile ka, mas pabor yung 6 speakers ni Honda Brio RS kasi hindi mo na kailangan magpakabit sa mga aftermarket, tsaka meron na rin siyang mga tweeter dito sa dalawang dulo. So, di ba? Solve. So there you have it. That's the interior of the 2022 Honda Brio RS. Okay, dito naman tayo sa rear ng Honda Brio RS. Kung mapapansin nyo, tuloy pa rin yung makikita nyo mga orange trims dito sa door panels. Kasi nga, RS trim to. Isang maganda dito sa Honda Brio RS is that nasa usual placement yung pindutan for the power windows. Kasi unlike dun sa Celerio, nandito siya sa likod ng handbrake. So medyo, for me, it's unusual for me to bend like this. Kasi bukod sa naiipit yung tiyan ko, medyo nakakalito. Hindi ko agad maaalala nandun yung pindutan. So for me, mas at home ako na nandito yung pindutan sa gilid ko. Okay, isa pang makikita mo dito sa Brio RS, yung kanyang center tunnel, mas mababa compared dun sa Celerio. Kasi sa Celerio, dahil mas mataas yung kanyang ground clearance, tumaas yung kanyang center tunnel. So, nung pag tatlo kayong pasahero dito sa likod, for me, mas magiging may pumapasok lang. Tatlo nga.
Sabi mo, komportable pag tatlo.
Oo. Yeah, yung nasa gitna. Medyo, lakasan mo pa. Yun. Medyo komportable naman, pero kung pupunta tayo ng Baguio, Tagaytay, Subic, baka medyo...
Dapat sobrang close talaga kayo para ganyan.
Oo.
That's the only way to be comfortable here. Dapat sobrang close kayo, tapos wala kayong mga individual.
Wala na umakakbay sa akin eh. Tapos, as ito nga, yung center tunnel, kasi nga mababa, so hindi masyado nakataas.
Center tunnel man.
Doon sa ilalim, compared doon sa Celerio na nakaganong ka na. Oo,
Ayun yung
na siya.
center tunnel.
Sa center. Uy, ba't may tumutusok sa akin? Uy, Boss Jacob ha. Yan tuloy lumabas. Kaya yun, di ba Roy? Tama?
Yes.
Mas okay kung dalawa lang kayo dito.
That's right. On that note, at least si Honda Brio, meron siyang
Meron siyang 3 na headrest. So alam mong meant talaga siya to have 3 people in the back. Sa Suzuki Celerio, you only got 2 headrests right there. So although you can fit 5 people in that car, it's realistic. It really knows na max lang sa 2 sa likod, pero in a pinch you can fit 3 in the back.
The Honda Brio RS has tilt-adjustable steering wheel, 6 speakers, speed-sensing door locks, front airbags, ISOFIX stetters, ABS, and immobilizer. So yun, dami na natin pinagkwentuhan ulit, Roy. So, botohan muna tayo for interior, tech, and safety. So, alam mo na ulit, di ba? Pag pula, Brio RS. Pag puti, Celerio. So, ikaw, ano bang napupusuan mo?
Alright, for interior amenities, I got to say the interior of the Honda Brio really is quite a looker. I love the orange accents. I love the black headliner. I really can't deny the overall space that the Suzuki Celerio gives me, especially for the rear passengers here. I'm 5'10.5". You guys watch the Zig Wheels Philippines YouTube channel, you know that I am that height. I think for me, space is more important. That's why I'm going for Suzuki Celerio. Right there, yes.
Ako naman, no, Roy, ang boto ko, alam mo, agree ako sa lahat ng mga sinabi mo eh. Kasi for me, kung space ang hanap mo, pumunta ka kay Celerio, tsaka kung safety features, and kung particular ka dun, si Celerio, yung mas, for me, may edge compared kay Honda Brio RS. However, for me, yung familiarity with the placement of the buttons and yung overall dashboard look and yung black headliner nga. Ba't kaya dami nagbash sa inyo? Okay din naman yung black headliner eh, di ba? Di ba?
Yeah, exactly.
Tapos, isa pa, Roy, yung center tunnel, mas mababa. And kaya I'm leaning towards sa Honda Brio RS. Kasi, di ba, ako nga, hindi naman ako kasing tangkad mo. Ano lang ako 5'5" eh. Minsan 5'6". Pero depende. So, yun, no? Hindi sagad yung ulo ko sa bubong. Hindi gaya mo kasi matangkad ka. Pero sana nakuha ko rin yung height mo. And then yung rear legroom din for my height is sakto, swabe. Walang problema. Kaya, for me, dito ako sa interior ng Honda Brio RS.
You know what? We've spent enough time checking out the interior, checking out the back. Let's do what we're paid to do. Let's give these cars a drive. So we're paid. Yes, we're paid.
Comment na lang kayo.
Slide into our DM so that we can help you guys out. We'll drive you crazy.
Mamaya may blood clot na ako dito. English to English.
Sorry
Diba?
naman.
Pero yeah, that's Roy Robles from Zigwheels.
Zigwheels.ph. Alright, so as I always say in my reviews at Zigwheels.ph, we are behind the wheel of the Suzuki Celerio. So horsepower and torque, this makes 66 horsepower and 89 Newton meters of torque from a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. Now the special thing about the Suzuki Celerio is that instead of having a traditional torque converter automatic transmission, you have an AGS or automated gear shift system. This is pretty much like an automatic manual transmission. It's difficult to explain this on simple terms, so get ready for some nerdiness. So basically what this is that your transmission is actually a manual transmission. Everything underneath the hood, the mechanics, the engineering, it's pure manual. It's just that it has an actuator or a computer that actually tells and helps you with shiftings, with removing the need for a third pedal, for a clutch pedal. So how you operate that is pretty much like an automatic transmission. The thing about that is that while you're driving, you can actually feel the shift between the gears. And that's kind of jarring, especially if this is your first time driving that kind of transmission. So let me show you how that works. Let's find a clear patch of road so that we can demonstrate that. All right, so right now we have a straight path right here. We are at second gear and I'm putting the pedal down. There, you actually feel the cutoff in power. So even if you have your foot on the pedal, the acceleration actually just cuts off as it shifts gears for a split second. And that can be quite jarring, quite annoying at times. So here's how you work around that. You treat the AGS like a manual transmission. That's right, without the third pedal, without the clutch pedal. So just shift into manual, like so, and you'll be sticking and staying in your gear. It's treated like a manual. We're riding in third right now, and I'm gonna shift to fourth. There we go. Easy peasy Suzuki. That's how we do in our channel, and I'm glad that Martin and the guys invited me over to test this car out with them. So another thing about the Suzuki Celerio is that it prides itself with being one of the most fuel efficient in its class because it's a 3-cylinder engine and a 1-liter to boot. Now, isa sa mga pinakamagandang features niya actually is yung automatic start-stop system. Yung automatic start-stop system is that in order to save fuel during traffic or once you go in idle, it actually shuts the engine off and then keeps the AC on, keeps all the electronics on to save on fuel. So fuel economy, at least how we tested it for the Suzuki Celerio in the city, normal driving, normal traffic, I was able to get around 12 to 13 kilometers per liter in the city. But I just wish that it could have had at least a little bit of sound insulation from the outside world because maririnig mo talaga lahat ng mga motor outside, yung road noise, yung wind noise, and when you're on idle and the automatic start-stop system doesn't start up, you can hear the engine as well.
So we're now driving the Honda Brio RS. No? Sabi nga namin kanina, it's powered by a 1.2-liter inline-4 gasoline engine that's connected to a CVT. Tapos in terms of power output naman, meron tong 89 horsepower and 110 Newton meters of torque. So relatively, pag tingnan mo yung power figures, yes, mas malakas siya compared dun sa Celerio. Well, kasi nga, 1.2-liter engine to tapos naka 4-cylinder pa. Driving the Honda Brio RS for me is parang relax hindi siya ganun ka-sporty because of the CVT. Tsaka, it's a hatchback not meant for sporty drives. It's a hatchback meant for everyday driving mo within the city. And occasional na out-of-town trips pagka weekend o pagka bigla mo lang naisipan. Tapos yung acceleration naman niya, it's relatively good but not that brisk. Ayos, not that brisk, di ba? Pero yun nga, kaya nga pleasant drive nga yung mabibigay sa'yo nito ni Honda Brio RS. Yan. Tapos yung kanyang steering wheel, magaan siya lalo na pagka nagda-drive ka within the city lang. Which for me is beneficial din kasi nakakabawas ng pagod lalo na pag kailangan mo magmaniobra o kailangan mo magsingit-singit sa mga tight streets. Yun yung mabibigay sa'yo nung light steering feel nito ni Honda Brio RS. And then sa highway, nagiging firm siya as you start to gain speed, which is normal naman na yan ngayon sa mga modern cars. Ang nabibigay nun sa'yo, better control over the vehicle, tsaka para mas may confidence ka when you're cruising at highway speeds, di ba? Tsaka pag gusto mo mag-change lane, okay din siya. And then when it comes to power, yung power delivery nito ni Brio RS is good considering its size and considering yung engine size, no? Tapos what I also like dito sa Brio is yung kanyang CVT as compared dun sa AGS ng Suzuki Celerio. Bakit? Well, number one, yung AGS kasi it has that feeling na kaya nasabi ni Roy kanina, you have to drive it like a manual. Which for me is not a problem naman, lalo na kung sanay ka na mag-drive. Pero kung newbie driver ka, medyo maninibago ka at first when you're driving the Suzuki Celerio na may AGS. Kasi yun nga, kailangan mo itimpla yung pag-apak mo sa gas pedal para mas makuha mo yung optimum shifting ng AGS na hindi mo na kailangan gawin pagka nakasakay ka dito sa Honda Brio RS. Kasi nga, meron siyang CVT. And yung nabibigay ng CVT is a smoother drive. Mas refined siya compared doon sa AGS, di ba? Pero kanya-kanya tayong preference eh. For me, mas komportable ako while driving the Honda Brio RS compared doon sa Celerio. At isa pa, naka 4-cylinder engine to. So, mas less yung engine vibration niya. Even at low speeds, medyo tamed yung engine niya, tahimik, hindi gaya nung sa Suzuki Celerio kasi nga naka 3-cylinder, and alam naman natin na kapag ka 3-cylinder, malakas yung vibration niya, medyo maingay siya pagka low speeds. Pero as you start to gain speed, as you start to increase your speed, nawawala yung ingay na yun at natitame down. Which is, yun nga, normal yun sa mga 3-cylinder engine. And then, isa pa na masasabi ko dito sa Honda Brio RS is that maganda yung stability niya and maganda yung ride niya. Kasi it sits lower to the ground compared dun kay Celerio na 174mm yung kanyang ground clearance, di ba? So, mas mataas si Celerio, so which translates to roughly mas maano yung body roll ng Celerio kasi mas mataas yung center of gravity compared dito sa Brio RS na mas mababa ka sa ground. So Roy, no, medyo marami na ako nasasabi dito, no? Tanungin naman kita about your impressions.
That's right, Martin. The Honda Brio feels like a much bigger car than it actually is. It's weird sitting in the back here. It reminds me a lot of the Honda Jazz back in the day. And there's a lot of room for me to move around. And it feels so smooth here. Unlike other small hatchbacks where it feels like a carnival ride in the back, here it actually feels kind of tame, kind of smooth. Comparing this with the Suzuki Celerio, this definitely is more of a commuter passenger car. I'd say that I had a lot more fun driving the Celerio, but as a passenger, I have no complaints in the back. And NVH levels is fine. Yes. You can barely hear the outside world. I'm sure you can still hear them from time to time, but the road noise is kept at the minimum, and I can even actually fall asleep behind here.
So ito na, in terms of fuel economy, since tumataas ang presyo ng gasolina, the Honda Brio RS managed to return 8 kilometers per liter at an average speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Tapos sa open highway naman, nakakuha kami ng 20.7 kilometers per liter at an average speed of 90 kilometers per hour. So in comparison with the Celerio, sa city driving, mas angat si Celerio kasi naka 12 to 13 si Roy eh. Tapos pagdating naman dito sa highway, medyo magkadikit sila ni Celerio, nito ni Brio. So for me, kung lagi mong ida-drive within the city yung isang sasakyan, baka mas mabigay ni Suzuki Celerio yung hinahanap mong pagtitipid or pagbabudget sa gasolina, especially considering now na tumataas ang fuel prices. Okay, Roy, so botohan na tayo for driving performance.
That's right, Martin. Now, I know that the Honda Brio has the advantage when it comes to the engine. It's got more power. It's got a smoother 4-cylinder engine. But I gotta take the Celerio in this one. I know that this is a less popular stand, but I've always been a contrarian. Guys, you know me about this. I love the Suzuki Celerio because of its weird and different AGS system. A lot of people don't seem to like it, but I love it, especially because of the fuel economy potential. So yeah, as a driver's car, I'm going with the Celerio.
Celerio ka. Well ako, no, pagdating sa engine performance, yes, agree ako sa'yo na iba yung nabibigay na fuel economy ni AGS at saka ni Suzuki Celerio. However, for me, masyadong jarring, gaya na sabi mo kanina, and harsh yung kanyang 3-cylinder engine and yung AGS. And for me, hindi pa rin na higitan yung nabibigay na smoothness tsaka refined ride nito ni Honda Brio RS compared dun kay Celerio. And yun nga, medyo challenging at first yung pagtimpla ng AGS ni Suzuki Celerio, lalo na from first to second gear. Medyo may challenge siya. Kaya ako naman, ang iboboto ko is yung itong Honda Brio RS. Kahit na mas less fuel efficient siya compared dun sa Celerio, mas naging comfortable ako driving the Brio RS compared to the Celerio. Right. Kasi nga, naka CVT, and naka 4-cylinder, tapos yun, overall mas swabe siya for me, so that explains my vote. So ang dami na natin na-cover, no, Roy, from exterior, interior, engine and performance, pero bago tayo magbotohan for value for money, babotohan kami ng ganyan, mag-recap muna tayo ng boto.
Of course, yes.
So unahin natin ng Brio. Sa Brio merong 1, 2, 2, 3.
Votes.
Oo. Sa Celerio naman, meron 1, 2, 3. It's a tie!
It's a tie.
So,
Oo.
meron pa tayong isa pang category that we need to discuss and vote on, and that is value for money. That's right.
Oh.
So
Unahin na kitang tanungin,
Ah,
Roy.
okay.
Unahin na kita. Para sa'yo, sino sa dalawa ang mas may value for money?
So before we give that out, I want to start that the Suzuki Celerio starts at 754,000 pesos for the AGS variant. So if you consider that, the 754,000 pesos you pay for this mini hatchback might be a little steep considering that this is just a hatchback and the ride feel might not be everyone's cup of tea, especially the design. But for me, 754,000 for the extra safety features that you might not need right now but are there and might need in the future are definitely worth it. But what do you think?
Yung extra safety features naman talaga, for me, yung lamang ni Celerio. And yeah, yung AGS kasi, it's up for one's preference kung anong trip mo
Right.
Pero for me, the Honda Brio RS, which priced at 730k, mas mura siya compared dun sa Suzuki Celerio AGS. Kaya medyo tricky siya pagka iisipin mo yung total value for money.
But what I'm sure of is that sino man manalo dito sa dalawa, ang pinakapanalo of course is the consumer. That's right, because all these cars are below, of course, 800,000 pesos, and they are both offer great fuel economy, which is kailangan na kailangan these days. Skyrocketing fuel prices.
Skyrocketing fuel prices.
That's crazy.
So anong boto mo?
Ang boto ko? Ano ba ito? Ah, puti.
Celerio.
Doon ako sa Celerio.
Parang nagulat ka.
Nagulat ako.
So ako, Roy, ang boto ko, Honda Brio RS.
I won't fight you on that because the Honda Brio RS, it also offers great value for money, and it really is a great car on its own.
Yes. No, kahit na mas medyo luma siya compared sa Celerio kasi it's a new generation model di ba? The Honda Brio RS, kaya pa niyang pumalag dun sa mga bagong players ngayon sa segment niya.
That's for true. That's for true.
Kaya ayun, Roy, no? Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us in this car comparison.
Teka, may bumabomba yata. Sino yun?
Sino ba to?
Ah, ito pala yun.
Ito pala yung hinahanap natin Naku mo pa magmotor?
Oh, pare, shoot na tayo. Ha? It's a boy Leroy. What the hell?
I
Ano
don't
ito?
know. I don't know, guys. I don't know what I'm doing here. But
Teka lang ha. Anong ginagawa nyo?
Tinatawagan kita kanina pa
Nagpapamasahe ako eh.
Aga-aga papamasahe
O syempre, kailangan natin mawala yung mga lamig-lamig sa katawan.
kailangan
Kita
less
na talaga
stress.
pag matanda, madaming lamig sa katawan. No?
Hindi, maintindihan mo rin yan pagka dumaan ka sa may mga timog area. Okay, teka lang ha. Anong ginagawa nyo? Nagpapaalam na kayo?
Ah, yes.
Oo.
Actually, nagpapaalam na kami, and I thank you so much, guys, for inviting me over here at Philkotse.com. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification icon on this channel, as well as on Zig Wheels Philippines.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. For the latest news, reviews, and anything you want to know about cars and car ownership, visit Philkotse.com. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify para hindi ka huli sa usapan. Tandaan, kotse ba? Philkotse na!